What's up everybody, it's Sean here, back today to give you a review of the Air Jordan 12 Retro in this Taxi colorway. This is the highly anticipated return of one of the original colorways of the Air Jordan 12, coming back in retro form for the first time since 2013. So these originally dropped back in 1996. It was worn by MJ en route to his 5th NBA title. And then since then, they retroed once in 2008 as part of the Countdown pack with the Bred 11s, and then again in 2013. So fast forward 12 years later and they're back. These released on November 8th for $215 US or $270 here in Canada. The official colorway for this shoe is white, black, and taxi. And these were available at most Air Jordan retailers, including the Closet Inc. here in Canada. The Closet Inc. is my go-to shop for Jordans and Nike retros. They're independently owned and operated, based right here in Southern Ontario in Canada, and they offer some of the best prices in the entire country. Fun fact, you should go on their website, check out their TCI Advantage collection, which contains a lot of heat, but when you click those items and add them to cart, that's when the discounted price shows up. So again, if you're watching from Canada, check out the Closet Inc., support the independent shops, and tell them that you heard about them through my channel. So first things first, here's a quick look at the packaging. And this is an OG colorway, so it comes in an OG inspired box. We have this natural cardboard finish with a black swoosh on the top, whereas the sides of the lid are brownish red color, and the bottom is colored in black. And here's a look at the other side of the box right here. So as far as the shoe goes, jumping right into the details, starting things off with the upper, this is primarily crafted out of a white colored tumbled leather, which I'm happy to say is a genuine leather. It definitely has this artificially tumbled look to it, but it feels decently soft to the touch. Overlaid on the sides on both the lateral and medial sides, we have this textured black leather overlay, which is inspired by reptile skin. So the overlay on the lateral side is a little bit longer. On the bottom, we have this TPU tab with Jumpman branding, whereas on the medial side, it's cut a little bit shorter in comparison. For the eyelets, the second and third eyelet from the top, these are plastic eyelets painted in a metallic gold finish. And then next to this, we have more of that tumbled leather, along with that signature radial stitching that we see in all Air Jordan 12s. Covering the heel, we have this pull tab with Jordan branding on it. And underneath this, etched away from the midsole, we have the number 23 in the iconic red. As far as the laces go, this only comes with one lace option, and they're a rope style lace in white. Underneath this, we have a mesh tongue, but we do have a large leather overlay covering the center. Embroidered in the middle, we have 2-3 branding in black, and then we have the Jumpman logo embroidered at the very top, also in black. The back of the tongue and the interior of the shoe, this is covered in a black colored liner. And like any Jordan 12, there's some padding in here. It's not overly stuffed, but enough to give you some cushioning and keep you contained. For the insoles, these come with a polyurethane lined foam insole. It's lined in this black finish on top, and we have a red Jumpman pressed onto the heel. So the upper of the Jordan 12, it sits atop a midsole which is constructed out of Phylon. So on the forefoot, it's painted in black to blend in seamlessly with that black overlay above it, but on the heel, it's left in white. And this being a Jordan 12, it's the first Air Jordan signature model to feature Zoom Air. So in this case, this also features a full-length Zoom Air unit, which is part of the reason why the Jordan 12s are quite comfortable. And then turning the shoe over to the bottom, so the outsole here is primarily crafted out of a black colored rubber. We have a red colored Jumpman on the forefoot, along with this taxi colored tab with the number 23 on it. And you'll see how we have this herringbone style traction pattern on these pods on both the forefoot and the heel. And then in the middle, the foam is etched away, revealing a carbon fiber shank plate, which is colored in a mix of black and yellow, inspired by the iconic look of New York City taxis. And this carbon fiber shank plate, of course, is there to help with torsional rigidity and midfoot support. So that breaks down the look and the construction of this shoe. And for those wondering about how these fit, I've always found that Jordan 12s run a little bit long lengthwise. So I feel like if you have a narrow, normal, or even like a slightly wide foot, and you like more of a snug, exact one-to-one fit, you could go a half size down in these. If you have more of a wider foot, or you just like more of a spacious toe box, then you can go true to size. So in my case, I tried on both a 9.5 and a 10. The 10 fit me perfectly fine, very comfortably widthwise, but there was just a little bit extra room lengthwise that I would have preferred. Going with the 9.5, which is a half size down, yes, it feels a little bit more restrictive from a width perspective, but the length was great. There's still about an index finger's width space between the top of the shoe and the top of my toe. So it comes down to personal preference, how you like your shoes to fit. But if you're in doubt, just go true to size and just deal with the extra room in the toe box, because it's always safer to go with a shoe that's a little bit too big than to have one that's too snug and uncomfortable. Moving on to the comfort, so the Jordan 12 is a shoe that I feel really needs to be broken in before they feel a lot more comfortable. Straight out of the box, they feel quite heavy, a little clunky, and the responsiveness with the Zoom Air isn't the best. But in my experience, the more you wear a Jordan 12, you really have to break in that midsole, soften up the upper, it'll form to your feet a lot better, and the underfoot feeling feels a lot better over time as well. So if you have no patience to break them in, then I'd probably recommend staying away from a Jordan 12. But if you have that long-term vision and you have the patience to really wear these in, over time, at least for me, I really enjoy how Jordan 12s feel on foot. They're never gonna be super lightweight and very breathable, but for a basketball sneaker that dropped back in the mid-90s, I honestly think they're not that bad. Finally, in terms of the quality and the craftsmanship, so this is where a lot of people are kind of split on how these Taxi 12s are. So the material quality I thought was fine. It's like your run-of-the-mill mass-produced Air Jordan. So the leathers are genuine leathers. They're not the best cut of leather, but I honestly thought it wasn't too bad. The biggest issue people have though is the overall shape of this shoe. So if you look at it, you'll see how it kind of slopes downwards and it runs a little bit long. It just has more of a skinnier look to it than compared to the OGs from '96, which just had more of a full toe box and it didn't look as long as these do. But then other people were saying that Jordan Brand has never actually gotten a retro of a Jordan 12 perfectly accurate to the OGs. For whatever reason, they just somehow can't get it back to how they looked back in the 90s. And honestly, I compare these to, for example, the recently released Bread 12s or Flu Game 12s, along with my Playoff 12s. And to be honest, the shape of these taxis didn't look that far off. There's nothing that I saw about these that screamed that it was a lot worse than some of the previous retros of OG colorways. So I can see why people don't love this kind of elongated banana shaped look. But for me personally, I thought it was perfectly acceptable. So with all that out of the way now, let's toss these on feet, I'll lace them up, and I'll show you guys how these look. The Playoff 12s will always be my personal favorite Jordan 12 colorway, but Taxis, obviously because it's just basically a flip on the Playoffs, is still really high up there on my list. I passed on the 2013 retro, so I'm personally excited that they brought these back 12 years later. And yes, it's not a perfect recreation of what the Taxi 12s could have been, but I think what we got was personally acceptable. I know a lot of people out there are pretty upset with this retro, but I don't know. For me, it just didn't bug me that much. Color-wise, I think this is a great shoe to wear. Black, white, a little bit of gold hits with red. It's a very easy colorway to wear. Even though Jordan 12s aren't gonna be something that I wear too often nowadays, I still think it's a great shoe to keep in my collection. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about this Taxi colorway of the Air Jordan 12? For anyone watching, did you also pick these up? Did you buy these, didn't love them and returned them, or did you just pass on them altogether? And as usual, if you guys enjoyed this review, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. I'll link my social media accounts down below for you guys to check out. And again, check out The Closet Inc. if you're watching from Canada. Support local, support the independent shops, and tell them, again, you heard about them through this channel. So apologies for my voice if you're wondering, if you made it this far in the video. I've just been battling a bit of an illness, so my voice is just totally off, but I'm trying my best. It's probably sounding worse the more I get into this video, but anyways, I'm gonna cut it short. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all in my next review.